these installations are puffing off this smoke right over the installation, the same size. It's like literally hovering over top of them. So what looks like a cloud underneath is actually these structures, and you could see the levels here, how it goes up and down, how massive it is. This is in a hole, and this is literally the dark side of the moon, guys, because it is an area in pitch black.
Hello and welcome. Guys, what's going on out there in space is just going by unnoticed. And why? Because what's going on is not in a parallel world, nor in another dimension, but it is invisible. What do I mean by it being invisible? Why are we not seeing structures on the moon by certain people, going to the same areas and not finding any structures, and I can turn around and go take a photo of that area and have structures? I've been telling you all for a while. I've been using infrared, many methods. What I'm doing is I'm actually exposing an invisible radiation that I was able to find and see by a special technique of filtering and playing with the spectrum of the light inside of the photo, playing with the colors. And when I say colors, we're talking about the tints and colors. By knowing how to make and transform a photo into an infrared photo by using even Photoshop is possible. It will give you a good infrared effect. Infrared radiation, or simply infrared, is also used as we know IR. It's basically, guys, an electromagnetic radiation, EMR, with longer wavelengths. Now, this took me a while to comprehend what I was seeing. So it's with longer wavelengths than those of visible light and is therefore invisible, although it is sometimes loosely called infrared light. We can hear that sometimes. It extends from the nominal red edge of the visible spectrum. The spectrum, it's real, guys. It's science. It's been proven. Most of the thermal radiation emitted by objects near room temperature is infrared. Like all EMR and IR carries radiant energy and behaves both like a wave and like its quantum particle, the photon. Infrared was discovered in the 1800s, and it was the astronomer William Herschel who had discovered a type of invisible radiation in the spectrum lower in energy than the red light. By means of its effect on a thermometer, slightly more than half of the total energy from the sun was eventually found to arrive on Earth in the form of infrared, which is an invisible radiation. The balance between absorbed and emitted infrared radiation has a critical effect on Earth's climate. What does it do to Earth's climate? Well, a region's climate is generated by the climate system, which has 5 components. We have the atmosphere, hydrosphere, the cirrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. The climate of a location is affected by its latitude, terrain, and altitude, as well as nearby water bodies and their currents. Climates can be classified according to the average and the typical ranges of different variables, most commonly temperature and precipitation. The most commonly used classification scheme was the Köppen climate classification. The Thorne weight system. Look that up. I'm not going to get into it. There's just so much to look into it. The spectrum of our eyes. So what are we seeing here? Look right here. This is a crater. Do you find it interesting that it has a flat surface, that it goes round, a road light goes down, has many anomalies inside of it, and this beautiful massive wall up at the top far right? No one is going to come on my channel and tell me that the moon is not inhabited, because it is. Here, infrared. Also, again, the invisible radiation being emitted is being picked up through infrared filtering, etc. Different ways and techniques of viewing the surface. Here, so close, cutting through the clouds, am able to see the structures when in reality, in the photo, they just are not seen in any way possible. Here again, high, massive, sky-rising walls that come out of holes, symmetrical, square or rectangular holes in the bottom of the surface of the moon. This is basically throughout the entire surface of the moon. Every single hole I've been looking into. A little surprise on the way by, I found this the other day, an unknown celestial object that was up facing towards the Milky Way. The beautiful birthing stars and mixed planets, many of them, I believe. Well, this was a very special and particularly odd object. The symmetrical structures that I found on this object is baffling. There's basically as many walls and or barriers like we see on the moon. And these barriers or high-rised walls, which basically look like you're looking into the Grand Canyon, and that these edges are flat edges. Why are they flat? And how were they formed, if they were formed at all by any beings or species? It's what we should be looking into. It's what science should be looking into, because we don't have to go to the constellation of Orion. All we have to do is beam out 3 to 6 years, 6 light years out. And be careful, when we say light years, it doesn't mean it takes 6 years to get there. 6 light years has nothing to do with years at all. So this celestial object that I found is a beautiful one. It was very bright, very reflective, had a hard time seeing it. It was blue. I thought it was a star. And when I zoomed up close to it, I saw structures and geometrical shapes and walls, symmetrical walls on the outer edges or outer limits, if you want, of this celestial object. The moon is packed with installations. And if you guys or some of you are not seeing them, don't get mad at me, because I'm able to clarify them. This, again, without infrared or anything, just the photo, we see that symmetrical line or square angle. Two objects between the moon and Earth again. Yes, it was right in front of the moon. These I picked up. The one on top was bright enough for me to see it, a twinkle. And through infrared, also able to get out more detail, but see the structures or geometrical shapes on it right there, like a cross right in the center. These were close to Earth, and they were over top of my house, like basically directly over the house. Every night, there are different ones that are there. Every night I look, and I could capture every single night different uneven anomalies like these that you're seeing here. And let me note again that we're not seeing a spherical planet or object or planetoid. The one on the top, the gray one, does look very cushion-like, and you can see it by looking at its angle. So, while you're looking at structures on the surface of the moon, the spectrum of our eyes, light of shorter or longer wavelengths doesn't excite our eyes, so we can't see anything beyond red, meaning infrared, or violet ultraviolet on the electromagnetic spectrum of light. Do a test. The cell phone camera is more sensitive to the light than human eyes. So grab your camera, take a picture, and then look at the picture, and it sees the infrared light that is invisible to us, and it will show you the color. Electromagnetic spectrum. What are we talking about? Basically, a light detector, my light technique, referring to any instrument, basically, guys, that detects electromagnetic radiation that's unseen to the human eye. Why? Because they're either longer or shorter wavelengths. For example, your eye is a type of light detector. It detects white, visible light without any problems, which contains all the colors of the rainbow, from red to violet. But how we said that some light is invisible to the human eye, well, to detect that type of radiation, there are different detectors to be able to see the radiation. Sorry. For example, X-ray, radios, and like I just told you, cell phones, even your television, unless you guys have cable, of course. These are all types of light detectors that can be seen. Therefore, if you're using a cell phone with a camera, you can take a photo of that radiation. So now, if you see an object in the sky and that object is on a wavelength, so many nanometers that our eyes do not see, but with a camera taking a photo of it, you will not have seen it with your eyes, but on the photo, you can most definitely pick up an object or craft without even having seen it. So, do you all know about Sophia, the plane Sophia, based on a Boeing 747 SP wide-body aircraft that has been modified to include, get this, a large door in the AFT fuselage that can be opened in flight to allow a 2.5 meter, which is 8.2 feet diameter reflecting telescope access to the sky. This telescope is designed for infrared astronomy. Well, there's a lot of information out there about Sophia. I'm not going to get too much into that, but I do want you to know that it is up in the air. She is Sophia, and what they are doing with her, who knows? What Sophia does, basically, she's up in the stratosphere. It's a stratosphere infrared astronomy observatory, airborne, okay, with a massive door, massive telescope, 8.2 feet wide, primary mirror, other mirrors. Um, there's a bunch of different mechanisms that I don't even understand yet on this telescope. And this is permitting them to be up over the water molecules of the Earth, under 41,000 feet, under the stratosphere, so that they can get a good infrared view of the anomalies over Earth, in Earth's atmosphere. What are they looking for? It You got to wonder what they're looking for. But you see, the our eyes cannot see a certain wavelength, either long wavelengths or short wavelengths. So on the moon here, we're seeing X-ray shots, we're seeing infrared applied, a light technique applied. It's giving me back structures and geometrical shapes. And I'm going back, obviously, to the same place several times. And yes, getting back always the same structural forms that are on the surface of the moon. This is the surface of the moon. So amazed and astonished, some of you, that you're telling other people in the community, guys, don't believe that this is the surface of the moon. It's just making you guys look ridiculous. But I do respect everyone's um, the way everyone's reacting to this. It's because it's overwhelming. But let's get over it, okay? Let's wake up. If I start a channel to try to tell everyone that we've been lied to, and it's not really even that, it's that I'm taking the right to start this channel to show the world what I found and what other channels are doing. But for me, inside my spirituality, I feel that what I found out has to be shared with every human being on earth. No matter how the quality of my work is so far, it doesn't matter, because the ideal of it all is trying to prove and expose and to show and to teach everyone what is on the surface of the moon and other celestial planets, objects, and of course in the sky. There are many wavelengths that we can't see. There are objects, guys, there are objects on us right now. There are many things that you can't see, whether they be the size of micrometers, bacteria, etc. They exist. Now, ejecta can be formed on a surface, even flat levels, layers, sure. But can they build this? No, they can't. Obviously, they cannot. And why would ejecta that is 4.5 billion years ago, 3.88 billion years ago, be glowing? That doesn't make any sense. When you zoom into these photos, you can clearly see geometrical shapes that are around them, some lit and some that are not. Look at the flower-shaped base or complex or structure at the top. Rewind it. Look at the teeth marks there. Look at the bottom castle, I call it, with just the front wall. Something inside. Other circle at the top. Supposed crater. It's not a crater. These are not craters. Look at the object that's in the bottom right. Inside a cover. It's like a garage, basically. Top here. Look at the tunnel. Or massive rectangular structure coming out. Look at the head here. A virtual one. A real one. Look at it on the ground. Entrance, nose, eyes, and yes, it could be reflection, the light. Often we've seen it before, even on Mars. But I'm sorry, it's curious. See, left here, entrance to the mouth. This whole platform to the right here is an object, a structure, and this rock, supposed rock on the bottom right, is straight edged. Also, they are not rocks. They are not rocks. Bottom right here, the platform covered over top of this structure. Hanger-like structures here, top left. It's all proof on the moon. You could clearly see them, clear enough for us to ask ourselves what we were told. Is it true? Was it true? No, it wasn't. Clearly wasn't. There's something hidden, whether it be national security, whatever the reason. We were still hidden the truth. Religion is based on reality. Duh. Okay? If we weren't taught an actual reality and we're living in an illusion, there's many ways to look at what I just said, living in an illusion. If we're living in a supposed illusion, prefabricated system, got to think of that. Guys, we're killing ourselves for no reasons. We're fighting against each other for our beliefs and what we believe is real. I mean, what if we're wrong? What if everyone on Earth is wrong? What if all the kids that were killed and um, there's too much to wrap our minds around because there's a bit of everything. There's evil, there's good. So there was many children that did really die, thousands, millions, but we have been shown before children that were dressed up, made to play dead. This is disgusting. Seeing that or having someone think of actually doing that. It just goes to show what point I'm trying to prove is that nothing's real. Nothing we were taught. A lot of things were fake and were lies. So the fighting is all based on a lie. We're fighting for nothing. We need to pull together long enough for us to find the truth. And then all our religions and our beliefs or whatever we believe in should and will be respected. It's the way it's going to go. So, these few frames that you've been seeing, these past few frames, the geometrical shapes on the bottom right here, outer limits of the moon, odd anomaly of the crater here that's pointed, looks like it's eaten away. NASA has even mentioned that. I mean, everything is so obvious. You can't say that there are not structures on the moon. And they're not supposed to be there if we're the only species in the universe, right? So here's the thing. There's another installation. You can't deny it. You cannot deny if there is one installation and constructed object on the moon. Wake up, guys. Most of you are awake, but there's a lot of people asleep, totally asleep, snoring, slobber coming down the ends of their mouths. Wake up, guys. It doesn't take a university degree to see that there are structures on the surface of another planet when you're viewing the surface of another planet. NASA and whichever secret association is working on secret space missions, let me tell you one thing. They are viewing in Sophia, the airplane, okay? They are viewing objects, either beings or crafts, or I don't know what they're viewing, but they're viewing it through infrared, and they're viewing wavelengths that our eyes have never seen and cannot see. The nanometers on the graph and scale, you know, they're on different ranges, different levels of wavelengths, low wavelengths, short, slow, fast wavelengths. This is why we are not seeing most of the objects out in space that are freely roaming around and hiding. But they are out there. There are many objects and crafts and anomalies, and whether they be beings or what, I'm blown away by what I'm seeing out there. And it's hard to, it's not about proving also. It's not about proving now. That's way past. We are way past the proving point. We're at the point of trying to understand now. It's already been proven. I understand that there's only a certain group that is going to understand that there are beings on other planets, and it already came out. It was already a big news, but only a couple of us held on to that information. This is what happens. Like what happens every 50 to 100 years. What happens? War. Horrible wars, depressions. I mean, it doesn't end. And then what happens is that people forget. People forget what went on. People forget who died. People forget what bloodlines and or families were doing all the crap in the beginning. You know, I know that there are many people today, both Canadian and American, that did not know that George Bush was related to the other Bush president. Not because they're stupid at all. It's because they're not interested. But when you start looking into all this information and you start looking into the dark areas of the world and the dark agenda and what's been going on behind everyone's back, let's look at the structures right here. Roads don't form by themselves, nor does ejecta form flat, high, ridged walls and barriers. It's just as simple as that. I thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I'll be off in a week, guys, and my eyes will be 24/7 up in the sky. Be able to get a lot. I mean, we got stars, we have unknown planets, we have asteroids to look for, we have the sun to get onto now and to adjust the filters, and it's going to be a nice summer, guys. So thanks for tagging along for the ride. Here, a tower on the surface of the moon. Guys, this is all my work. Benny Levy posted the tower too. He found it in the NASA photos, just to say the tower doesn't have cars parked around it. I think he got it really clear, and possibly even more clear than this. Benny Levy, check him out, double N. And yeah, it's up there. These things are up there. in the NASA photos. They didn't even take the time to blotch them out. This is why I know and I believe that no NASA photos were blotched out. They're there. You know, if they're posting pictures like this, except this is my work, but it's there and it's not hidden. This is an X-ray shot of it. You can see it's in the ground, whether it be a post that rises and closes. I believe this goes in the ground, probably hidden by a trap door. As it goes down, wouldn't be surprised. The tower is not there at times. Why? All I see is that symmetrical base at the bottom. We just saw sinus iridum here. Look at this strange object. Oh, that was a bit fast. I saw it at the beginning of the video. All of these anomalies on the surface. Here in the north side, near Merecrisium, I believe this is Merecrisium. We see structures at the back of Merecrisium. It's never ending. There is always something on the surface of the moon. And what you're looking at here that looks very gray, my friends, is not gray at all. There is no white or gray on the surface at all. Not even the white domes that look like domes at the back. They're very purplish, very, very colorful. It all comes into the factors and the spectrums of the scales of our eyes and the light spectrum. Ultraviolet light. There's certain lights that our eyes do not see, certain colors that our eyes do not see, because the wavelengths are not on the same wavelengths as our eyes, as their spectrum. It's as simple as that. I'm coming to understand and accept that and move on and try to find tools, both like I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, cell phones, radios, televisions. Uh, these are all tools to detect light, and when used properly, can be as strong and as effective as any tool that NASA has and is using. They're advanced. Say to yourself that. They're up in there right now in Sophia, the stratospheric infrared observational airborne observatory. They have parabolic mirrors on the telescope, different various types of mirrors I don't even understand and comprehend yet, and 9 feet, almost 8.2 feet, I think, across. It's this beautiful. Can you imagine over the water molecules, out of the debris field of anything that can cause a photo or telescope view to cause us to have a hard time to see it, they are out of that range. They have everything for them right now. Everything's opened up on a platter, on a gold platter served to them. They can see everything, all the movement. They can follow crafts and objects. Why does NASA have a team that works on fighting against asteroids and being sure and saving the world? And we got people every day in high flyers, 80, 90,000 feet, 100,000 feet over Earth. We got people, humans, scooting by day and night, looking, protecting this hope they're protecting. But they're out there. All these secret missions, all these operations that we hear, paperclip. It wasn't fake. All these operations, all these secret, top secret informations, okay? You have the CIA and FBI are in the States, right? But then in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we're operating here in Canada. Of course they're going to remain hidden, right? The Canadian Holocaust, sickening, makes me sick to be Canadian, to be a part of a country that's ruled by corrupt people. Sad to say. They have their own goals. The government's here for their own goals and agendas. They need us to do their work, You understand? So when someone wakes up and says, "Hey, I'm luckier than anyone else. I got a $30 an hour job and I'm good at what I do." Yeah, well, you're doing it for a corrupt system. We have money, corruption in our own homes. Should never have been invented because there's a very easy way to use money and to have a system that money works, and it brings murders, death, makes people sell their bodies on the streets. People do anything for a line. It's sad when you think of it, you know? And you say, well, why was all this designed? It definitely wasn't designed for us because after all these thousands of years, we still would be ruled and by all these dictatorships, and the only difference is that they don't walk around with spears and gold on their shoulders anymore, gold rings like the Egyptians. That's basically the only thing. They walk and talk and like us, but in reality, they're watching our every move. Saw a woman walking on my street the other day with a pad in a government car from Canada, looking inside my garbage to see what I put inside. Freaks me the hell out. You don't know who's there. I got fire departments in my yard taking measurements of my pool. You're never alone. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check out the description in the link of this video for the Big Mama telescope. We're trying to raise some money to get the nice view out there and show it all to the world.